Hi, my name is Lorrie. Welcome to my channel. We are quilters. Here we are sitting outside at the cabin on a hot summer's night, and it's like the second day of summer. It is so hot here, so unusually hot. But I am taping the show outside so I can get the breeze is fantastic, which makes it feel less than 90. So let's get started with the 8 topics for today's Blabfest. Topic number 1 is the block parade. It is short today. I finished a couple blocks from Monday, from Upskill Monday. 3 blocks to be exact. The snowflake block now has sequins and beads, and the other blocks that are similar to it. Oh, you can probably hear that breeze. I know it's moving the camera just a little tiny bit, and I can see the flag over that shoulder flapping just ever so slightly. So, just a few blocks, very close. They are so cute, turning out very nice. They're just getting fancier and fancier as we go. Next month, it will be double herringbone. Not next week, but next month. On Monday, I showed you, I don't know if it was Monday. Maybe it was in the future Monday. Today I'm going to show you how to make the easiest needle book ever. I used this little scrap of fabric for the longest time, and I was always getting stuck and poked when I got into my little travel kit. I don't know why I put off making this little needle book for so long. You need an index card and 2 scraps of fabric that will cover the index card, and maybe the teeny tiny version of this clip. Let's go to the videotape. Time to make the easiest needle book ever. So inside is a 3x5 index card, and it is sewn on the machine, 2 layers of fabric. This one is made with flannel. And since I keep it in my travel kit, I use one of these little office clips to hold it shut. You could use magnets, you don't even really need that. It stays shut fairly well on its own once you have put that line of stitching down through the middle. Let me put this out of the way and show you how I cut it and made it. So I've ironed 2 pieces of fabric together. I'm going to put the card in there in just a few minutes. I'm letting the edges raw. I'm going to cut my 2 layers of fabric at the same time. I think that I will use my cutting mat. Now, if you don't like the turntable mats, you can always use just a plain mat and turn it around as you go. I'm going to lay my card on top, lay my ruler on top of that, and I'm going to cut my pieces. These are just scraps from other projects. The bad part is the static makes the card stick to my ruler. And I'm trying not to cut into any of the paper. There we go. If I grab the corner of it, it doesn't come up with it. Over halfway done. So now I'm going to put my card in the middle. I'm not pinning, I'm not doing anything fancy. Putting my other piece of fabric on top, and you can see that the right sides are out. I'm going to go sew a scant seam as small as I can get it and stay on the fabric the whole way around. If you want to use some clips to hold it together, that might not be a bad idea. That's up to you. I'm going to go to the machine and I will be right back. Okay, back from the sewing machine. So I layered it, and after I sewed the whole way around all of the edges, I folded it in half, gave it a good crease, and I sewed up the crease. Now you can see that there are some threads, and I'm going to pull them and give them a trim. Because this is not a high-end project. It's something to do a job. And you could, if you wanted to, you could use pinking shears and pink around the edges. And now I have a place to put my needles. Now, I did not, and on purpose, I did not use any kind of fusible because I want the fabric to be loose so that I can put pins and needles through the fabric layer without going through the card. So I did not fuse that in any way. But there it is, a simple needlebook. It just needs a clip of some sort or not, and it is ready to be used. It was one of those things that I don't know why I put it off as long as I did. Hope you enjoyed this easy little scrap project. While I was cleaning up my area between videos, I discovered a little pile of half square triangles, and I swore last summer and at the beginning of Build a Block that I would never let them pile up in a big container again. So I decided to do a little bit of block trimming. Let's cut to that video. Well, as I was getting things ready and doing some projects, and I noticed that I have a bunch of half square triangles, and I never want to get that big case full of them ever again. It took me a lot of last summer to trim them down, and now I have a buildup of a little basket, a little drawer, and I need to very soon come up with a project to use these up. So today, one of the things I'm going to do is just sit and trim. Oh, these ones look like they'll be 3.5. Oh, yep, they will. Sit and trim half square triangles. It's very hot here today. I'm filming a little bit early so that tomorrow we can head to West Virginia, make sure the house is still standing. And it's going to be even hotter there. And we don't have air conditioning. And I keep telling myself, oh, it's going to be cooler in a few days. It's going to be cooler by the time we return to Michigan. Because we are having, it's like August weather here, and it's not even July yet. So I'm just going to sit, and this does not take a lot of effort and energy. And I don't need to iron these. They've already been ironed, thank goodness, because an iron in your space can heat up to, on the cotton setting, 350 degrees. And who needs more heat added to their space on a day like today? So I'm just going to sit and trim. and put it on a little bit of speed trim. I put a new blade on my rotary cutter. I didn't realize how hard I had to push to get things trimmed. I need to do that more often. Treat myself to a new cutter blade. And the sharpener I have here, no, it wasn't as good. It was a yard sale special, and it was like one I have at home, but oh, it had some issues. So, yeah, there's no using that. But anyway, if you have to be out in the heat, well, even if you don't, and if you're like us and you don't have air conditioning, stay hydrated. Do things that will keep you cool. Now is not the day to go out and dig a garden, or at high noon weed your plants, or if your greatest show of love is through food, now is not the time to bake bread. Just saying, even if you do have air conditioning. I think I'm going to go find myself a nice ice pack and put it on top of my head. Doggy seems to be doing okay with air conditioning, or without air conditioning. Let me put this on speed trim for just a few minutes so you can vicariously enjoy trimming fabric if you don't have time to get to it right now. Well, I've got my nice big pile of fire starter scraps, and I'm down to a little pile of blocks to trim. What's your favorite way to trim these lovely little blocks? I mean, since I have found this little 1.5-inch ruler, I have been ecstatic. I used to use the stackety wackety, trim two sides and then flip it and use the lines and trim the other two sides. That was the other best way I could come up with, other than using a ruler and trimming around and around. What do you use to trim these lovely little gem half square triangles so they are usable? Let me know in the comments below. I'd love to hear from you. Topic number 4, behind the door. And this week we are on bin B5. We're getting closer and closer. Only 3 more bins to go. And then I'll have to find something else to show you and share with you. So let's cut to that video. This one says house and neighborhood. Some of them actually had a label on them that was, surprisingly enough, accurate. So let's see what is in B5. Are they really house and neighborhood blocks? I think they might be. Oh, here we go. I've been thinking about house blocks. Let me move these ones out of the way. I have been thinking about house blocks for a while. Look at this. And I see Ann T. And so some people wrote on them. Let me see I can't see that without my glasses. Ann T's house, it says. So cute. So, I love this skinny pine tree and the grass. And there's some embroidery with like the flower stitch from the sewing machine. So cute. This one says Dawn, Hawaii. So a big pineapple. And I don't know what size these were supposed to be. They seem to be close in size. It says, welcome the gardeners. And there's a flower bush. I love this chimney with the bricks. And it has siding. It's 3-dimensional. That is very cool. And they use machine stitch. Norma, it says on the welcome mat. A wooden door with a doorknob and a little tiny keyhole. Curtains in the windows. And I love that texture for the roof. And grass, pebbled path. Village quilt block, it says. So that must have been what this was called. Sandy, she participated in a lot of exchanges. I love the flowers in the windows. What nice colors and contrast. And that little contemporary brick. Norma's Burger, order here. So we did some blocks that were not houses also in this exchange. I love the ketchup fabric. Order here, Norma's Burgers. Very cute. Another house block. I love this shimmery, silvery window. And it even has some like dimension. It's puffy, and so is the door. She must have added some extra. It's not on the back. And hand embroidered flowers. So cute. And here is mine. And I had some fabric markers. And this is how my house looked at the time. There was no porch. Big sliding glass window. Always have cobwebs and spider webs. And this was where my cat, he was killed by a dog in the neighborhood in the backyard. A sad story. But I did this block as a tribute to him. And that's the shape my house is. Or was at the time. Now it has a little bit more to it. And I used batting for the clouds. And like I said, I had the fabric markers, so I was experimenting with that, and a vine. There was vine climbing on my house. And I had some extra and made a regular house block that is not the shape of my house. My house was originally a frame, and then they built on and built on. So that is part of what is in there. Let's see what the other half is. Those are the houses from the neighborhood. These look like schoolhouses. Love to learn. I can tell this is all my fabric. Couple schoolhouses that match. I love that iridescent fabric. And I know that Marion is going, ooh, that's shiny. I don't think it glows in the dark, though. Pretty sure it does not. And I always put spider webs up. Spider webs mean good luck, by the way. So my house is the luckiest house on the planet. And some more. So these are all schoolhouse. Where were these when I was doing the schoolhouse quilt for Haley last September and October? Because this is a nice, simple block. And then I signed them Shore. So, let's see how many of those there are. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. 9 schoolhouse blocks. Interesting. Very, very interesting. I had great fun making those neighborhood blocks, and I remember making these. There's no date on there, so it's hard to tell when, but it was a while ago. Topic number 5, yard sale and thrift stores treasure. Well, I didn't find any treasure at the thrift stores this week, but I did find treasure at yard sales. Dan found this little collector tin, and you know how I like those Singer tins. Well, this one's a J.P. Coates tin. Has no scratches, dents, or bangs on it, and it was full of buttons. Somebody kept all those little extra buttons from clothing they bought and kept the envelope or the little baggie. So I have taken them out, put them into, I got half a bowl of buttons and a little baggie of beads and pieces. So I will add this to my button box and have some more fancy schmancy buttons. I also found tons of fabric in the mix. Let me show you at a yard sale. It was a church yard sale, and I found a big bag. Some of it is newer fabric, some of it is older fabric. Let me just show you some eye candy. Some of it is very cute, some of it is very hideous. But cut in small enough pieces, you never know what you can use. Stripes are great for binding, so even though those are, woo, they will make great binding. Stripes make the best binding ever. And they're even fancier and look very different if you cut it on the bias. Just a thought. Anyway, here are the fabrics that I found. Normally I stick to just sewing topics, but this week I want to share a separate little hobby. It's related to beads, and beads have been very useful recently in the sewing topic. So it's related, it's in the same family, kind of. So let me show you what I'm up to with jewelry repair. Such an easy and addictive habit to get into. Today I'm going to show you one of my other little hobbies, fixing jewelry or making jewelry. In this case it's fixing jewelry. So I have my case of pliers here, and I believe these ones came from Harbor Freight, and they come in a 5 set of cutters and pliers, and they're relatively inexpensive, between $10 and $15. Now, to do what I'm going to do today, I'm going to need 2 pairs of pliers, because that's usually what it takes. But I have some nicer ones here. These ones are a finer version of these, and you can see that the tip is very fine on these more expensive ones that my friend gave me. And there's not as much of a tip here, but you do use this tip if you make jewelry. And I have some other ones in here too, and they all serve a purpose. I'm going to put the ones away, and these are cutters, little sharp cutters, but I'm not going to need those for the quick fix that I need today. And these are also cutters. I'm not going to need those ones either, just these 2 pairs. Let me set those out of the way. When I bought this bracelet for 50 cents, I picked it up and I thought, wow, what a good price, because these little beads that say achieve success, belief, it's probably a graduation present. These are metal beads. They're not plastic beads. So I thought, wow, what a nice little bracelet. I got it home and I went to put it on, and there is no fastener on the end. It had originally, I can tell by this fastener, it had a large loop that was broken off. I don't particularly like those kind of fasteners because I tend to lose them, so I am going to add a lobster claw fastener in there. There is the lobster claw, and it has come off of something else, so I need to clean that up a bit. Something that was a New York brand bracelet. Anyway, a lobster claw, and then I will need a larger loop to fasten through that lobster claw.
I don't have one in there that's the right color. Let's see if I can find a silver one. I could use a gold. Oh, there's a nice silver one. Oh, and I see that I have some. Let me pull it out there. That one's a double one, which makes it very secure. I'm looking for, well, maybe all I have are the double ones in this collection. Yeah, it looks like the bigger ones are all double ones. Okay. Maybe I'll do a bigger one and a smaller one to make it a double loop. Now, I learned from my friend who does jewelry making that you should always put your, now these containers are very secure. That is not going anywhere because the lid screws off and it screws 3 times around. I'm going to add, I'm going to put these away. Always put the lid back on so you don't accidentally knock it off of the table. There's something in the bottle, and these come in a stack, and you can buy extras. I think these come from Hobby Lobby, I'm not sure. So to take this off, I am going to use both pairs of pliers. Let me move my findings out of the way. Hopefully you'll be able to see without my hands in the way. I need to find where there's the opening between the loops. So I grab one side with one pair of pliers. I grab the other side with the other pair of pliers and give it a slight twist. Oh, okay, well, and there it is. I have an opening now, but it's not quite big enough. So I give it a bigger twist, and that will give me a big enough opening, I hope. Oh, there is the clasp. And I will put the, since this is open, I will put the double hoop loop there, and I will twist that back shut as neat as you please. And there it is, twisted back shut. And the other side, I need to open the loop and take off the extra stuff. So I pull one forward and one back. Take off the New York tag because it is no longer a New York brand anything. Take off that extra little bead from something that broke. I'm going to add the strand on. I thought I was going to need that other little loop, but I don't think so. So I'll put it back away. And now I need to bend my chain link back. I know it's not quite bent far enough. Still needs a little tiny bit more. There we are, all bent together. Fixed and perfect. And now I can put it through the hook, and I have a 50-cent glamour bracelet with cute little beads. All fixed and ready to wear.
I recently have been sharing a an old book or old magazine with you, since I have quite a collection, and I haven't needed anything new for a while. I haven't seen anything that I just had to buy. So this hand quilting book, and I must have paid $1 for it maybe at a thrift store a couple weeks ago. It was written in 1996. Where was this book when I so desperately needed it and decided to do everything by machine and even buy the big machine with the frame? It is very interesting. Let's take a closer look.
For the past couple of weeks, I've been looking at my collection of older books. Learn to do hand quilting in just one day and then practice for the rest of your life. My grandmother always tied her quilts, so I had no one to teach me this skill. And I have picked up some of it, but there's still some that I don't know. This book was written in, let's see what the copyright is, 1996. And she talks about her grandmother in the introduction. She was lucky. Talks about supplies and needles and thimbles and how to fit your thimble, which is one of those very important things that I don't really know much about. And I've gone without using a thimble for so long that it takes practice when I do want to use a thimble. She talks about different kinds of threads and stencils and patterns. And I love this. Simple grids and diamonds and backgrounds that are a good thing to have in your set of skills. And what to do to get ready. This little pamphlet book, and it has great diagrams. How to put the needle down through, how to knot or not knot, how to hold it, how to put the needle down, how to know where your needle is. I love the diagrams. Simple charcoal drawings, and then an explanation that goes with it. Where was this book when I needed it? And then how to end the thread. Such good explanations of simple things. Oh look, Honey has brought her little penguin. Oh, you can't see her. There she is. She brought her penguin to help make the video about the book. So then there's questions and answers, and there are a couple of practice piece projects, small projects. I like this button, love token button quilt. Very sweet, easy, small, ends up being about 12 by 12. A great place to start. You're not investing so much time in it that you'll feel like you can never get it done. Another one, pumpkin seed quilt. And they are made so they can show off some beautiful quilting. So I need to read this more thoroughly and put into practice some of these things. Hey, stop that. Honey's being way too helpful. And a border design and a feathered wreath. Now I know how to do this with the machine. Hi, helper. Please get your toenails off my book. Excuse me while I take the fuzz from her. And another welcome quilt with wheat and pineapple. Nothing like having a helper dog, a big helper dog. Hey, there we go. And there is the last line drawing pattern for pineapple and wheat to make that last quilt. I do like that. Looks almost like a thistle. But there it is. Learn to do hand quilting in just one day.
It's time for everybody's favorite part of the week and favorite part of the show. viewer contributions. Yay!
This segment is brought to you by Diana. This quilt is for her niece. It has a beautiful 9-patch pattern. I love the fabric that she used in her big blocks in between. Perfect colors. Just absolutely beautiful. And here is the back. It looks like abstract flower garden. Good job, Diana. Thank you for sending us a photo.
I hope you have enjoyed watching this al fresco show. I'm starting to finally cool down a little bit. It is very warm in the cabin. The air moves pretty well through there, but no air conditioning here and no air conditioning in West Virginia. And my friend texted me that it was only 97 there today. Oh, we're going back to even hotter. Oh my, glad we're only staying for a day or two. I hope to see you on Monday for Upskill Monday, where things are still herringbone, but I've called the show on Monday Herringbone Blingy Thingy because it is starting to amp up and be even fancier, but not more difficult. See you then. Have a great weekend. Thanks for watching.